right, thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see half of the faces. Just in case you're new, I'm Christopher Brannon. I'm the president of the koha-US. And before we get started, I'd like everybody to introduce yourselves because we may or may not have new people here. So feel free to jump in and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Daniel Gaghan. I'm the Systems and Database Librarian at Pueblo City County Library District. We've been on Koha for about 6 years now. And yeah, I've been a part of koha-US since the beginning, or since we migrated over. And I used to run the SIG meeting, but I'm transitioning leadership. So welcome to all the new folks. And there's a lot of great people here and a lot of knowledge. So you get a lot out of this, this group. So
okay, I guess I'll go next. Oh, okay, go ahead, Greg.
Okay, yeah, I'm Greg Gantz. I work at the Northeast Kansas Library System with George Williams. If you didn't see my comment in the chat, he is dealing with leftover COVID tiredness and stuff. So I'm not sure if he'll be joining us today or not. But yeah, I've been with Nichols for 8 years now and just started on the Koha side last year. So.
Okay. No one else will speak up. Somebody has to. Same reason I became a notary public. Okay, Fred King, migrated to Koha in 2013, unsupported. Been on the board, been koha-US since it began. Let's see. And I actually brought a couple of problems to discuss today, but we can get to that later.
Awesome. We love problems. Who else?
I'm Jennifer Marlatt. Hi, I'm with the Corona Public Library and I'm the koha-US secretary.
I'm Emily Lehman-Kusa. I'm with Montgomery County Public Libraries, and I'm still medium new to koha-US as of October.
I'm Rebecca Coert. I'm with Arlington Public Library in Virginia. I work on the systems team, and I've been a member of koha-US since we started with Koha in June of 2020.
I'm Michael Adamyk. I work for the Central Kansas Library System on the Koha board as the supported representative. I've been working here for about 3 years.
I'm Barbara Johnson. I'm with Bedford Public Library, Texas. We've been on Koha since 2016, and I'm a past koha-US president.
Hi, I'm Lauren Denny. I'm with SIL's Library Consortium. I handle everything. Sometimes I feel like, and we're unsupported. And I guess I'm also the representative for unsupported people on the board for koha-US.
My name is John Sterbenz. I'm the financial manager for koha-US. I'm a long timer here, and I'm a Koha aficionado. I don't actually run a Koha system anymore.
I'm Bob Bennhoff. I am the vice president of koha-US, and I manage a consortium in Colorado.
I am Rhonda Kuiper. I work at the Round Rock Public Library. I'm tech services manager there. We've been on Koha since 2016. Right about the same time Barbara started, and yeah, there's something else I was going to say, but I forgot. Okay.
I'm Jason Robb. I am the Seek and Find coordinator at the Southeast Kansas Library System. We've been on Koha since 2008. I've been coordinator since 2013, and I've been with koha-US since before it was koha-US. So I've been here a while.
Georgette, if you introduced yourself earlier, we did not hear you. Nope, can't hear you.
Georgette Rogers, Liberty Lake Library. I've been on Koha for about 12 years. No, 10 years. We came on with Coeur d'Alene when they came on. I'm circulation
2012.
supervisor, and I've been part of koha-US. I've been going to the meetings for a while now, and now I'm actually part of it since just earlier this year.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody. It's so nice to see so many faces. The screen is full today. That's awesome. We've got a few items that are on the agenda, and any committee updates that we'll be throwing in as well, but we're going to leave this as wide open as possible for discussions. But we're going to start off here with bylaws amendment. If you hadn't seen already, I sent out an email last week saying that we have a vote that's going to be opening up today. I will send that vote out to members. And we are voting on an amendment. Basically, it is amendments. What was it? I want to say it was Article 2, Section 6, I think. Basically, it's an update on voting, what to do in case of a tie. So be sure that if you are a member to respond back to that so that we can move forward with that. It's a minor one, but we're also going to have another vote later this month. I'll touch briefly on this and we'll get back to this in just a moment, but in a week we'll have another vote for our site location proposals. We've got a couple proposals for this year for our conference, so we will be doing that. So please be keeping an eye on your emails. If you're members, please respond. Your vote does count. Just briefly, I wanted to touch on our SIGs. We have a couple of spots open for SIG leaders. We have our circulation special interest group that is in need of a leader. We might have somebody, but if you are interested, you don't have to be a member, but we encourage anybody to jump in, and you don't have to be a circulation specialist. This is purely somebody that can devote, an hour a month to facilitate discussion on circulation topics and really open it up to the floor to talk about issues that circulation face or workflows, talk about things like that. So that position is open. If you're interested, please reach out to us at info@koha-us.org. We're also looking for someone to lead our demonstration instance SIG. That one's a little bit more nebulous, vague, but we need somebody to manage discussion about the use of our demonstration instance, if I could speak here. The topics on this SIG are configuring, populating, and maintaining the demonstration site, exploring uses for the demonstration site. We let people on that to explore and try some things out, but we do need a group of people interested in maintaining that, just to keep it looking good and making sure things are working and represents how we can use Koha. So if you are interested in leading either of those, please reach out to us. Again, you can email us at info@koha-us.org. And again, you don't have to be a specialist in any of these areas. And there are those of us that can help guide you through some of these things. So you are not alone if you pick up leadership on one of these. All right, next on the agenda, we have a 2023 KOHA-US conference location proposals. We have 2 proposals that have been submitted. One being my library. We have hosted before, and I threw our library out there. Our library was willing to host again. I feel like we have a good feedback on our location. We did a decent job with hosting, so we threw our hat in the ring again because we weren't getting a lot of proposals at the time. And shortly after we threw in our proposal, another library threw in their proposal, and let me pull up that information. I should have had that ready to go. Let's see here. And I am in the wrong account. Just a moment. Basically, it is Portsmouth Public Library in New Hampshire, and still pulling that info up. I apologize. I don't navigate Google Docs fast enough. I'm sorry. Okay, so yes, so it is Portsmouth Public Library, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and they are proposing their dates for the conference in September 20th through the 23rd. And I had sent out a quick invite to the gal that submitted the proposal, and in hopes that she could talk a little bit more about her library. She is not here today, unfortunately, but you can look up the library online. Their website, let me grab that real quick here. It looks like a great location, and so I put in the link to their library in the chat, but it is cityofportsmouth.com/library. Please check them out. Our library is the Coeur d'Alene Public Library in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'll throw out our website, so you can check out both of the libraries there. I can tell you that I would lean towards Portsmouth Public Library over ours, since we've hosted before. That I'm going to say, we are a great location. We are a resort town that's growing. We have a lot of great areas. We are on the one side of a park that on the other side of the park is a huge lake, the Coeur d'Alene Lake, and there are great things to do around here. We have ferries to go out on the lake. We have great places to eat. There's zip lining in the area, and we have a theme park that is a few miles, several miles north up in Athol, north of Coeur d'Alene. That's fun to visit, but really a wonderful area. We have hiking trails up on the hill right behind the library, and very pleasant town. And hopefully, if we were to have a conference here again, you could visit when we don't have smoke. Unfortunately, the last time we hosted, there was some smoke in the air. There were fires in Washington that were blowing over our way, but good town. But I always encourage people to try out new places. We haven't been to New Hampshire yet for a conference, and I was looking up the library, and they look like they're right on the water as well. They're right by the coast there. It looks like a great area. I would highly suggest that as being the place, but I'll let everybody that is a member that can vote be the judge between the two towns and decide which way you want to go. Again, we haven't done anything up over there yet. So I think the farthest east that we've been is Erie. And so this would be a nice change. So that is all I have to offer about the proposals. Does anybody have anything to add about either location?
Christopher, what were your dates? Or were they the same?
No, my dates were different. I think it was the following week. Let me grab that real quick. So Portsmouth was the 20th through the 23rd. The dates that I proposed were the 27th through the 30th of September. So the week later, but yeah, I pushed mine out a week later because of some other building commitments here, and also I'm going to be on vacation the week before, not the week before, the month before, and trying to give myself a little bit more time to prepare if we had to host. So that is all. Any other questions or comments? Both are great locations. I would not be disappointed with either. And I don't think you would be disappointed with either. So it's really a matter of choice. And I guess the dates are going to be pivotal as well. So. All right.
Yeah, Coeur d'Alene is beautiful and I'd go either place, but truthfully, my birthday is in September that same week. So being in New Hampshire would be really cool.
Well, there you go. We have to celebrate Georgette's birthday. Okay. Well, I have to say, we just miss my birthday if
oh no.
So actually no, wait a minute. No, yeah, we just missed my birthday if we are doing New Hampshire. My birthday is the week that I proposed. So
I got a quick question for you, Christopher. When we were in Coeur d'Alene last time, it was summer, so it was the height of the tourist season. Has the tourist season settled down with your dates, or does it continue on into October when all the trees finally lose their leaves, or something similar?
I would say, I would say we're right towards the end of that, because we experience all seasons here, and the earliest that I've seen us get hit with winter is the end of October. So we may be losing leaves around that time, but it's hard to say. I don't pay attention enough to the transitions and when they are, but I mean, it's beautiful here up through, I mean, even through fall. It is really beautiful. I mean, I'm looking out my window right now, and we still have piles of snow that are melting away, and last year's leaves are finally unfrozen and falling off the trees. So, but it's still a gorgeous area. So I think people will really enjoy it. Any other questions? Okay. Well, jump real quick into the committee updates, and then we will get into open discussion. That's pretty much it for the conference right now. The conference committee is meeting after this general meeting so that we can discuss any further details before the voting opens. So that's where we are with the conference. We were a little bit behind in the proposals because we didn't get any responses on time, so we had to extend things a little bit. Now we're trying to get back on track. So I'm fast tracking the voting as quickly as possible. I generally we give people a week notice before the voting. I don't know if that's absolutely necessary. I mean, we'll talk about it at the conference committee. If we can push up the voting, I would like to, because I don't know. I told people a week ago that we were going to be talking about the proposal sites, and I'm giving people an opportunity to hear about it, but I want to be able to give people a little bit of time to do some research before the voting opens. So we'll figure that out after this meeting. Development.
Yeah, that's me. A couple bits of news. The first thing is we've had a outstanding development for quite a while. I don't even remember exactly what it did because it's been out so long. So maybe you can refresh our memory, Christopher.
Yeah, it's a development that will allow staff to be able to put a note in a patron's account. They can see it on the OPAC. We already had that functionality, but now with this bug, patrons will have the option to say, I've read it, and it will go away. They don't have to keep staring at it until a staff member turns it off. And it will also indicate on the staff side that they have read it. So a little bit of functionality there with the messages, so that staff can see that they are communicating with patrons, and patrons don't have to bug a staff member to turn it off.
So we had gone out we tried an experiment and went with a company that usually doesn't do koha developments, and they wrote the code and it did what we asked it to do, but it didn't pass QA because there's certain standards in the koha community that they weren't really able to, they just didn't quite meet. And so we just need to get this finished off. So we had talked to Bywater about them possibly doing it, and they were willing to do it at no additional cost, just whenever they had a chance to do it, which, given their busy development schedule, who knows when that would be. And we also have a quote from Catalyst, and where they will, it will cost money, but it'll get done faster. And I think at the last board meeting, we were leaning towards just getting that taken care of. I don't remember if we had a formal vote or anything, but we definitely want to get that finished off, because it's been quite a while in the making, and we want to actually have that available to everybody. So we're trying to move forward and get that into a future release as soon as possible. So that's one update. The other update is we were looking at our model for how we fund developments, and traditionally that has been something where we solicit ideas. That's how that last idea of the note came to be. Somebody had that idea, it was voted on, and it was selected. But one thing we were discussing is that perhaps we are not getting the full measure of ideas out there, because it is kind of a barrier to entry to submit an idea like that. So what we are going to look at doing with development funds is, I'm going to put the Bywater devs page in the chat so you can look at it if you haven't seen it. But Bywater has this great page where they list a bunch of developments that many of which are partially funded. They just haven't been completely funded. And that would be a way where we can get ideas and for voting as well. So and it doesn't necessarily even have to be Bywater that does the development. In the end, if we can find somebody else willing to do it, we can go that route as well. So What we're going to do is we're going to kind of do a hybrid where we do have a couple of submissions that were in this last round when we asked for new development ideas. We're going to include those with a couple of the options that are off this development page. And then going forward, we will encourage when people have ideas that they get it on that Bywater page as a possible item we can fund. And I think this will give us a lot more flexibility, both in the breadth of ideas that we are looking at, but also if we're not fully funding something, partially funding something, we can maybe make our contributions go a little bit further. So that's kind of where we're headed. So does anybody have any questions about either of those development committee news items? Okay, well, that's the committee report for development.
All right. Education, George is not here to do an update on the education committee, unless somebody has anything to add from that committee. We will skip and go ahead and go to finance.
I don't have anything. John and I are meeting tomorrow. So what I brought to the board meeting basically would be, you know, we have 54 members and at last count, and, you know, things are looking good. So, and I'll have you a better report next month as we're working on writing that, he and I.
And I will just, encourage the group, we're not going to spend a lot of time on business here in the general meeting. If you want to hear more details about koha-US business, please join us at the board meeting. That way you can keep up to date with what's going on there. We don't have to rehash it here, and we can spend more time on stuff that concerns you guys. So, are we doing any? John, are we doing anything with the monthly or annual or financial report?
They are both available for anyone's review, and I'm glad to answer any questions that anyone might have after their review. I'll focus really on just 3 primary numbers. Okay. Year-end membership count was 56. That continues the slide in membership counts that we've seen since reaching a high of 83 in 2020. But on the other hand, we're at 56 members already this year. So that's actually an excellent sign. And one thing that looks like might have finally happened is we've got what we hope to be able to use as an established renewal rate. That was kind of hard to do, obviously, for a few years, but the last 2 years have been hovering in the upper 40s. And so when Georgette and I meet to talk about the 2024 budget, that's probably what we're going to go with based on our membership count at that time. The other number, one of the more important numbers for this group to consider, is the amount of discretionary funds available. This is a number that only gets updated once a year after the treasurer and the financial manager reconcile all of the accounts. With last year's reconciliation complete, we have $8,167.12 available for discretionary purposes. And they're very purposely called discretionary. We have been traditionally using them for developments as voted on by the members, but there is nothing in our bylaws that say that's what those funds have to go to. So that's why they are labeled as discretionary. And like we have been able to do, we were able to put money into that last year. So that was always good. And then the other important number, this is a number I talk to the board about all the time. We do have remaining money from our KohaCon sponsorship that we as an organization need to spend because it's not our money. It is money that we need to put back into the community in some way, shape, or form. And that number is about $1,625. It's been my recommendation that we combine that with a little bit of our discretionary money to do something. And I leave that to the board's discussion as to what that something should be, whether it's the support of a development, which seems to be the most likely place to go, because there are developments out there that are awaiting funding. Anything else would probably take a little bit of time to piece together. So that's really the highlights. There's an 11-page report for you to pore over, a detailed report that goes along with it. And again, if you've got any questions about that, because I was responsible for the budget last year, I wrote both of those reports. So you can contact me for assistance with anything that you've got.
All right. Thank you. And fundraising chair is vacant. We do not have a fundraising committee at this time. If there is any interest in doing any fundraising for koha-US and its interests, please speak to me or John, or email us at info@koha-us.org. All right. It is 9:04. We have a whole 26 minutes to just talk about whatever. So wanted to open up the floor to anybody that has anything of interest that they'd like to talk about. And I see Fred waving his hand. So Fred, you get to say the first thing. So go for it.
Okay, actually, it's sort of three whatevers. One, can I do this? And two, why is this not doing what it should? I am in the process of rebuilding the author's catalog. Sort of started out from scratch. I eliminated a lot of duplicate records. That I added dates. But there weren't any, with what I consider is kind of a neat process. Like I tried to explain last week at the cataloging on SIG, but didn't quite work. But first question, I am right now using Zebra, and eventually I want to use Elasticsearch, but it looks like I'm going to have to play with it for a while, and I'd rather get the catalog back and updated sooner than later. If I continue to use Zebra and I come up with some new fields to index, like I'm not sure if the 098 is indexed. I know the 251 isn't because no one else has one. Will that present problems when I'm going into Elasticsearch? I have to redo a whole lot.
I see Heather kind of shaking her head.
Yeah, I mean, I found Elasticsearch really, really easy in the Elasticsearch configuration to, add a field, increase weight, decrease weight, stuff like that. But we're also supported by Bywater. So all I would do is mention to Bywater, I'm changing it, and then I change it or ask them to change, and then they'd work magic.
If I add a field in the Elasticsearch configuration page, I assume that's the one with all the weightings and, okay, glad we're talking about the same thing. Will it, if I want it to index, let's say, 253 journal name, will it automatically do it, or does somebody in the back have to do a lot of reconfiguring? Or do you know?
I'm, as I say, I didn't do it, but it's my impression that it's like some sort of scripty thing or reindex thing. Oh, Jason's nodding.
I'm looking at that page right now, and it says any changes to the configuration only take effect after a full reindex. So it sounds like you could add your fields and then reindex, and it should work, but we're the same as Heather. So I don't know what magic Bywater is actually doing on the back end, and you're probably gonna have to play with it.
I think that's it, because then they'll do a thing and then I test it and it's like, oh, it's awesome. It's really, it seems really easy.
I know that Bywater keeps track of some of our settings on a Google Doc, which tells me there's at least a few things that are behind the scenes that aren't just something you can adjust with an interface, but a lot of it you can adjust on that interface and then just do a reindex. But I do think there are a few things that require something else at an administrative level I can't see.
That would be a good thing for our unsupported to maybe research and to clarify. It would be great if we had that kind of information on the website so that we know, because I mean, yeah, we take that for granted. I mean, yeah, we change something, we tell our vendor and they do whatever they have to do on their end, particularly the reindexing, which I will say the reindexing, I do want to say the reindexing goes a lot smoother and faster with Elasticsearch than it did with Zebra. Zebra was a little bit more all-encompassing, where Elasticsearch was just really fast.
Which index is the demonstration slide on?
I don't recall. I want to say Elasticsearch. I think we wanted to go with all the bells and whistles we could. See if I can find out. I'm pulling up the about page to see if I can tell. Does it say on the about page if you're in Elasticsearch?
The system preference is set to Elasticsearch in the demo instance. And it does have on the about page the Elasticsearch nodes are running or whatever.
Okay.
So I think that it is running Elastic.
Except I have Elasticsearch on my library, plain library instance that shows up in the about, but I'm not using it and I haven't even installed it from the command line. So I don't think that is a guarantee. It's just you can if you've installed everything.
I think there's one quick way to check. I think if you use Boolean search, because Boolean's only on Elasticsearch, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's inconclusive.
Okay. Now, second, unless someone would like to go now. Second, I am trying to add a matching rule. And I put in all the stuff. Yeah, the index, the field, all that. And I click add and I get a 500 error. Furthermore, if I try to edit an existing matching rule that has been there and we've used for a long time, I get a 500 error. And if I go back to our normal catalog, which I haven't tried to fiddle with at all, and I, let's say, click on the ISBN and then save changes, I get a 500 error. Any idea what is going on?
I'd say you're getting a 500 error.
Oh, okay.
What version are you on?
220509.
Can anybody verify if that's just a Fred thing or if that's happening on 2205?
Yeah, I'm probably going to put these questions out on the koha-US and koha list.
Our cataloger is not having any issues or saying anything, so I'm not sure.
A final one. This is even more esoteric. So I'm not sure anyone will even have any idea. So let me get back. All right, for the author's catalog, I wanted to display some unusual fields, things that I put in, or there are things that are so strange that no one ever wants to put them on except me, such as, let's say, the 099. So I had to go in and modify the XSLT style sheet. So I'd have, where is, okay, there's 3 of them, Mark 21 Slim 2 opaque detail.xsl and Mark 21 Slim 2 opaque results.xsl. And to get them to work, you need to put the address or location of Mark 21 Slim utils.xsl. I tried putting that on just the unmodified one on our local server, and then I tried getting detail of one of the 2 records that's in there, and it didn't work. I know that I can access that address because I put the fave icon in that directory. Part of our library webpage is on the intranet, so it wouldn't work outside, but should work inside. So, and I got that. Okay, maybe I should put them somewhere else. So I have another server. I put them there, and I can get to them with Firefox. But again, I had the right address. I had the in each XSL sheet pointing to utils, and that didn't work. So I tried using put it in the same directory as the XSL files that are running the current author's catalog. Okay, maybe permissions or something. Nope. And then I tried the XSL modified one that I used for the existing catalog, and that worked. I'm coming to the conclusion, and I hope someone can verify, could it be that the XSL files aren't working? Anyone tried?
I had some problems. We were trying to do some work on I can't remember if it was our system or the demo site. We were trying to point to some XSL. I'm trying to remember some custom XSL, and we couldn't get it to point to anything, no matter where we put it. So I think that there are some issues with customization right now.
Let's see. I went into general system preferences and OPAC, and I put in the pointer towards the new XSL. But then I also tried with the same instance of Koa, a 5-year-old XSL modified one. That worked.
Are you just replacing the main XSL, or are you using the custom settings?
Well, in the configuration page, the OPAC, it just says default. I'm not sure what file that's pointing to.
Okay. Are you changing that setting to point to something else?
pointing to document.space/scratch monkey/OPA, yep, that file.
Okay.
The 5-year-old one works, new one doesn't.
Interesting. I mean, that sounds more like some structure change in the file itself, or there's an issue in the file. So there may be an error in there that's causing it to break.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, these are the
you're able to use
XSL
a
files.
5-year-old one.
Hmm?
If you're able to use a 5-year-old one and make it work, then I would say that that's the file itself. There's something in the file that's causing it to not work.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I went right to the very long directory thing, bootstrap.en/opac/template/ I'm making most of this up in the order up. And I finally get to the directory on the Koha server where the original files are, and I just transfer them to something else.
Are you using an editor that understands XSL and can show errors?
I'm using either Pico/Nano or Notepad++.
Okay. That would be my first suggestion is, check for errors, because if you have something open-ended or, broken in there, that could be throwing it off. And it's my understanding that XSL is kind of picky. And if you don't have something right, I mean, most code is, I mean, if you have something open-ended in jQuery, you can break it and it shuts down. So yeah, check that and make sure that there's not an error. And I know that sounds oversimplified, but I mean, but it's a tedious job, but I mean, that's most likely what's happening.
Yeah. But the weird, I haven't changed them from the server to the remote server, which I'll try again, and just completely unmodified. If that does anything. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'd have to change the address to the utils file. I can, Nano would be a good editor for that, right? I don't think it would destroy anything, change anything.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a Linux editor, really easy one.
I would say too, if you're pointing to something in there that one system can see and the other can't, if there's any reference to something that you might want to check whatever references that you.
Yeah.
I don't know XSL enough. I haven't played with those files enough to know what's all involved in there, but if you're pointing to anything that it can't see or touch or deal with, then that might cause it to break. I don't.
Yeah. So. Yeah. As I learned in 2018 or 2016, those are really easy to break.
All right.
So I promised a long time ago to share my code on how to use the Biblio API endpoint to avoid modifying your XSLT. I hit save on the wiki and it's spinning. So I'll put a link in the chat if it's done within the next 8 minutes. But I've got an example where I'm replacing series information in the search results with info from the Biblio API endpoint, which is not what you want, but it could be adapted to pull in your 099 without having to modify XSLT at all, which I would avoid. I have started avoiding at all costs because it does cause these kinds of headaches. Yes, and you don't get you have to keep it, you have to maintain it. Like anytime there's a version update, you have to go back and update your own XSLT to get all the new whistles.
That's why I'm so amazed the detail record works on the 2018 version on 2205. I expect it to.
Okay, so that finally saved. So I put that link in the chat. Again, it's like a niche case for us. People probably don't want to use that exact code, but you can adopt it for any mark field, as far as I know.
Ooh, neat. Thanks.
Awesome. I will throw out those of you unsupported or may not know that Bywater puts out Monday minutes. They had a good Monday minutes this week talking about the additional fields in Z3950 result search. This preference here, which had gone unnoticed by us, and you can put additional fields to come up in your search when you're searching, so that if you need to be able to make differences out with different types of records, this is a very good preference to set. We just started including the 336A and the 338A in our search results to include more information so we can tell the differences between the different records. So that if you're doing any Z3950 searches, that might be of help to you. Becca threw a question in the chat, fundraising question: with the sunsetting of Amazon Smile, how much revenue will koha-US be losing? That's a John question.
John can answer that question and tell you the amount we've been getting from Amazon Smile has been decreasing over the years. One of the things I never cared for about the program was that we just would get the money. It was impossible for us to see any of the metrics associated with that money, not even a count of how many Amazon customers had selected your particular charity as its intended recipient. Based on what we received last year, and based on what I had forecast for this year, we can expect to probably lose about $150 a year in income from that. Fred can only do so much, and now Fred can't even do that. There's a running joke between Fred and I that, whenever I would announce how much came in through Amazon Smile, Fred would always send me a message that said, "I tried." And so we were always greatly appreciative of Fred's efforts and know that he was successful in contributing, because any type of customer could submit or choose a charity. I have a suspicion that we had some libraries that had selected koha-US for their Amazon purchases, and they either changed their charity to something else or stopped using Amazon. And of course, we'll never know. So we will be losing some income, but it's not like it's a gigantic loss of revenue. And I'm still actually waiting to see what we'll be getting in this final donation, because the documentation and messages received from Amazon Smile don't say anything about getting your actual fourth quarter contribution, just that they were going to match they used very particular wording about their estimate as to what you would have gotten. And that doesn't fit right with me, because they didn't make this announcement until January, which means in theory, we should not only get just the fourth quarter money, but something on top of that. And that's not what I think is going to happen. So I'm giving the whole thing a very jaundiced eye, but we won't really be losing all that much.
All right. Well, Fred, you're going to have to make your donations directly with John now.
Only if I can do it painlessly.
Any other topics? We have a couple minutes here before we close up shop.
I am having an issue with frameworks. That I sent something on the cataloging listserv, and I may end up needing to send it to the whole group. It does look like there is a bug, and that it's in the middle of it. It's in the middle of being finished. In the past, well, okay. I have a lot of librarians who have no training. They were just assigned to be a cataloger, to catalog the items in their library. And I needed to kind of match some of the standards that the other part of my libraries have that have trained catalogers and are with academic libraries, and I really care that RDA information is in the record. I've been putting all of that information in the framework so that all my non-experienced catalogers had to do was change the framework to whatever item type they had in their library, and voila, it put all that information in there and I didn't have to teach them how to do it. That broke on 2205. So my question is, was anyone, and it's traced to some bugs, is anyone else using frameworks that way, or can give me an alternative to do the same thing? I can't use macros because I'm needing this for like people who, if they looked at the advanced editor, I think they would freak out. And
let's clarify. Okay, so we did a little digging yesterday.
Oh yes.
And you know, the issue is you have a lot of defaults, so it's the default settings in there. So whatever you want plugged in there automatically when you go to the framework, it works with new records. It does not work if you're changing it on an existing record. So it's not throwing in the defaults when you change the framework on something that you've already created. So does anybody do that with their frameworks, or are you only using the defaults as you create a new record and not depending on the defaults if you're changing something?
Okay. I put the bugs that I found that are related to it in the chat. It looks like there's a system preference in the 2211 that you can turn on or turn off to enable it.
Did you put it in the chat? I don't see them.
Oh, hold on. Now I did.
There you go.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, whoa.
Which I like the fact that it is a system preference that you can choose to put it in. And I did look, the old way of behaving, it automatically puts it there if the field, but only if the fields are blank, which I do like. If you have, because I always had to tell librarians, all right, if you have a record that you did from a Z3950 and it's for an online resource and you need it for a print, you need to delete, you know, these 5 or 6 fields and then change the framework so that it'll put in the information for book. Otherwise, it'll do nothing.
Lauren, are you having them also modify the fixed fields?
One of the, so my online does modify a control field. I cannot modify, I would love for it to modify the leader and the 008, but I've yet to figure out how to do that because it's only like, those don't have subfields.
No, but they've got, you can expand both of them out, at least in the advanced editor. And if you expand them out, then you see what every byte is for. However, I filed a bug back in 2016 that still hasn't been fixed, because whenever you change the leader byte 6, whatever type is, you change it to something that's not A. When you click on save, it reverts back to A, which then screws up your 008.
Yeah.
And people said, I thought this was fixed. Then it turns out it wasn't. Then somebody said this wasn't an issue. Then it was fixed, but then the next release broke it, and that's where we are again. And I don't, you know, I get updates on the bugs still, even though I don't use the system anymore. And this seems to be a problem that's only of concern to those of us in the Americas. Because when some of the European support houses look at this, they're like, what are you talking about? None of this makes any sense. Because they don't use Mark 21, they use Unimod, a lot of them. So what we're experiencing is not what they're experiencing. So I was curious to know if you were going in and modifying the leader, because that has a role in some areas, or at least it used to, on how certain parts of the record displayed publicly.
That they have to do manually.
Yes.
I would love, the dream would be for a way to, like, you select this, you know, either a modification template or framework or macro or something, and it just automatically changes everything to tell it the item type that it is. It overwrites whatever's there. It does this lovely magic. But I don't know if that, I think maybe a pipe dream. Because I think that'd be really complex. Like it would also require the programmers to have a working knowledge of cataloging.
Which they don't have, and that's part
Which
of the
they don't have.
problem.
Or the catalogers say, this is what it should be.
Oh, I
And we
tried that.
all
It didn't
agree
work.
that, no.
I went into all this detail. I pointed them to bib formats and standards, which outlines very clearly how all of this stuff is supposed to function and interrelate. And I see Fred laughing hysterically. And they looked at it, maybe, I don't know, they told me they did, maybe they were just humoring me. And at the end of the day, even though they had all of the documentation they needed in order to be able to fix the problem, it remains unfair.
All right, we're gonna have to close up shop here. I have to shut our conversation down because we are 5 minutes past our end point here. Just want to remind everybody, we put out an excellent video. I think, in my opinion, I think it's one of our better videos that we've done in a while. Check it out. It's in our chat, the link to it, talking about ILL workflows. I would love to generate more feedback on this, particularly in YouTube. Talk about your workflows on this, or talk about it in the listservs. But I would like to hear more about different libraries and how you do your ILL handling and incorporate that into Koha, because I've kind of taken up the mantle of working on how libraries can incorporate ILLs into their Koha better and make it work for them. And we found a very good method. I'm going to be doing, George and I are going to be doing another video, follow-up video, to talk more about that and more things that I've done in the system to accommodate those workflows. Hope you'll check them out. But with that said, we're closing up shop. I want to thank everybody that joined us today, and hope to see you again next month, or see you in the SIGs or committee meetings. And we'll be here again next month on, what's the date here? The general meeting will be on March 8th, same time. All right. Thank you, everybody. And for the committee, the conference committee, stick around. I have to step away for just a minute, but we'll get started in just a moment.
So long, folks.
Bye-bye.